Alright guys, welcome back. We're going to work on the second part of our density lesson, and the focus here is going to be on population density. T-E-N-S. Let's just fix that. Now population density is a little bit different. It's still the basic principle of density, like how much is contained, how much volume is contained in a certain area. But now we're talking about people and land areas, basically, or animals or things like that. So our pop density is equal to our total population divided by our total land area. Okay, so now let's take a look at that formula in relationship to this problem. A team of ecologists is tracking mountain lines throughout California. They count 4,543 mountain lines in the entire state. So that's the total population. The area of California is 4,223,970 kilometers squared. Okay, so now let's think about this. It says, what is the population density of mountain lions per 250 kilometers in California? So the first thing I'm going to think about is, all right, how many 250 square kilometers are there in California? So think about how you would try to calculate that. You would take your total kilometers squared and you want to divide it by the 250. That'd be one way you could do it. You could take your let's try it this way first. So we're looking at basically 423,970. I've got 161,695.88 of these blocks of square units. Okay, so now I've got a total of 4,543 mountain lions. And if I divide it by those little blocks, I end up with 2.6788. And I can't really have a partial mountain lion, so I would say there are 2 to 3 mountain lions. And every 250 kilometers square area of California. Now that means that in some places there'll be 2 and in some places there'll be 3. All right, let's take another look here. This is going to be Densities of Metal, a world-famous rock band that's put on a show in an arena in Rome last night. The rectangular floor of the arena has an area of 32,000 meters squared, packed shoulder to shoulder with fans. They want to know how many people were at last night's show. Okay, so they estimate that on average, each person takes up a circular space with a diameter of 0.8 meters. So let's think about this, okay? If I were to put down the rectangular and I start putting people like this, I'm going to have all this little dead space around here. So it's not going to be very efficient. But if I took a rectangle, say after that, and I put a circle in each one and counted the diameter, that would be the same thing as the edge of my little rectangle there. So in other words, I'm thinking about for each person, I know they take up a circular, but the diameter makes this 0.8 meters. So now let's think about each person. How much space do they take up? So I'm going to have my 0.8 meters times my 0.8 meters, and that's going to give me 0.64 meters squared. Okay, so remember, I'm going to take my total area here, and I'm going to divide it this time by my area per person, and that's going to equal estimate number of people that were at the show. So I've got my 32,000, and I've got a 0.64. That's how much. Both of these are in meters squared, so they are going to cancel out. I end up with an estimate of 50,000 people at the show. Okay. All right, the next question, we are going to be comparing some population densities. It says Beijing has this many people in this much area. Shanghai has this many people in this much area. How many times as great is the population density of Shanghai as Beijing? So I have to calculate the population density of both. So I'm going to start with Beijing first over here, and they have 2.7 million people, total population, and 16,400 kilometers squared of area, and that's about 1,262 people per kilometer squared for Beijing. Okay. Well, now I got to figure out Shanghai. And they have 23.7 million people and only 6,300 kilometers squared. You can tell right there, they got more people, less space. So they're going to be about 3,762 people. Much more dense. They have a larger population density here. But by how much? Well, I want to see how many times this number right here goes into this one. So I take Shanghai's population density and divide it by Beijing's population density. And I get about 2.98. So I'm going to say that Shanghai's population density, Pop D, is about 3 times as great as Beijing's. Okay, last problem we're going to look at in this part of the lesson, we'll have one more after this, it kind of looks at the BTUs. And this is kind of the British thermal units that's used to air-conditioned rooms. So I've got 30 students playing outside, and they come in, and over the course of the hour, each of those kids produces 800 BTUs. Okay, the room is 20 by 20 by 12. How many BTUs per cubic foot were produced? So first of all, let's think about the students produce, what they produce. And I'm going to say 30 times 800 24,000 BTUs. Okay, now let's think about the volume of the room. And that's going to be my 20 by 20 by 12, and this is all in feet. And I think that's 4,800 cubic feet. Okay, so now we need to know how many BTUs per cubic foot. So BTUs per cubic foot. So I'm going to take my 24,000 BTUs per my 4,800 cubic feet. And I get about, well, I get exactly 5 BTUs per cubic foot that were being produced. Okay, so that was a look at some population density questions and some questions related to density and population density. If you have any questions, please feel free to come to me in class. Let me know what you're thinking. Hit me up through It's Learning, and I will see you in the next class. Thanks, guys.